When we left off, I had learned that my new purchase was overcharging the battery, which probably means I have a bad regulator. So the next step was to pull the alternator off the bike and have a look at the whole charging system. Most bikes have a stator or rotor on one end of the crankshaft to generate electricity, and this is fed back to a solid-state regulator rectifier unit that rectifies the voltage from alternating current to direct current and regulates the amount being fed back to the battery. Older bikes had separate regulators and rectifiers, and you could actually tune the amount of voltage going to the battery by adjusting a series of gaps on the regulator. Some bikes, like this one, have an all-in-one unit more akin to a car alternator. The principles are the same, but having the rotor removed from the end of the crankshaft allows the motor to be a little bit narrower. The regulator and rectifier are still there. They're just now housed under the cap at the end of the rotor. Removing the regulator and brushes, I had access not only to the rectifier, but the rotor as well, so I could bench test it with my multimeter. I could find no evidence of a short between the windings and the housing, and wasn't really showing any resistance at the rectifier, so those parts looked good. But not being an expert at such things, I did decide to run it by a local shop that specializes in rebuilding alternators. The gentleman behind the counter confirmed what I had found. He saw some readings that he wasn't quite expecting, but he said it all looked good. Unfortunately, even with all the resources he had, he couldn't find a drop-in replacement for the regulator. So now I had to figure out what sort of options there were. Partzilla did have an OEM replacement, but this was cost prohibitive at $310. There are lots of used alternators on eBay with a broad range of prices, but this is always a little bit risky. Then I found this, an aftermarket drop-in replacement. At only $13, I was willing to try it. I wasn't so crazy about the $20 shipping charge, but if I can fix the charging system for $33, I'm going to call it a win. So I desoldered the old regulator and placed the order. And now we play the waiting game.
No, the waiting game sucks. Let's play Hungry Hungry Hippos.